Hey, welcome back. I'm Jana with Purl Together. In this week's video, we're going to pick up for the sleeves and get started knitting those. So let me show you where I'm at with both of the sweaters I have going. So this first one you saw in the beginning of the videos, and I have, obviously the neckline hasn't been picked up and done yet, but this is for my daughter, and I have one sleeve done. And then I'm showing you in today's video how to pick up the sleeves, and then I obviously still need to knit the second one. So that's that one. The other sweater I have waiting right now because I am using the size 7 needles over there. This one is my sweater, obviously a bigger size. So I chose to do this like striping sequence where I have lots of one color and a thin stripe, and then it kind of is going to morph into, see how I'm switching colors and it goes and switches. So I'm almost done with the body, and then I'll be picking up the sleeves on this one as well. This is, let's see, this first sweater, if you recall, I'm making this out of the Berocco vintage DK, and then mine I'm making out of a Girl in Her World DK sock, which is lovely. The links for the yarns are down below in the video description. As always, all the links are down there. Okay, so before we get started with picking up the sleeves, so it's been a little bit since I've recorded, since I pre-recorded some stuff before I went on vacation. So I want to give a shout out and a big public thank you to a bunch of new patrons that have joined the Purl Together patron family since last I recorded videos. That's the point here. So thanks so much to Pam, Laura, Danielle, Sharon, Allison, Cindy, Susan, Rob, Paula, and Katie. Thanks so much for joining me over at patreon.com/Purl Together. So it's kind of like your local public radio station. You pledge a certain amount and then you get benefits. So head over there to check out what I offer for different levels of patronage and how you can join us and how all that works. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. That's what makes these videos happen and come to you each and every week. All right, let's get started picking up the sleeves. All right, we're ready to pick up our sleeve stitches here, and I've just got this on this little green-ish waste yarn. So I just pull that up, and I'm starting on the, well, let's see, I'm starting on the back because this is my right sleeve. Whichever side you start on, whether it's right or left, have your stitches in your left side if you're right-handed, and we're going to go this way from left to right to pick up. So I just go along and slide my needle in underneath those, and then on occasion, every 5 or 6 stitches, I just pull out my waste yarn, and I kind of just hold it up to help me with some tension to lift those stitches. And I'm just going to go along all the way around and pick those up. While you're doing this, you might also want to take note of how many rows of the color you're on that you have already knitted. So in my case, I have 4 rows already knitted of my lighter color. So this was the sweater that I started first, and I did do the 6 rows of each color as written in the pattern. And since I'm choosing to do magic loop, I'm going to pick up all the stitches until I get to the top of the shoulder, and then I'll make my magic loop and carry on down the other side. Okay, so this is about halfway, and I'll adjust it to be exactly halfway later on. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and pull through that needle, loop it around to do my magic loop, and then I'll just carry on picking up stitches. I find this is just what works best for me. If you're just going to knit these on a small circular needle, then you don't need to worry about that part. Or if you're doing DPNs, you can kind of equally distribute them on DPNs as you go, adjusting them after we pick up the underarm stitches. All right, so I've put all of the sleeve stitches on the main needle. Now at the side of the body, the pattern asks you to pick up stitches at the side and knit X number of stitches depending on the size you have on the chart from page 6, and then you knit the sleeve stitches all the way around, and then you pick up that same number so you end right in the center. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. You can use DPNs and you can start right here in the middle and do that so that your beginning of the round is there. I'm going to prefer to do it this way. And again, there's totally nothing wrong with the way the pattern asks you to do it. It's just my personal preference. I'm going to start here on the edge, and you can see there's some wonkiness going on here. And you can also tell that this column goes up here and stops, and then we have our raglan decreases and we're stopping. This stitch is part of the raglan decrease. I like to add a couple of stitches right here just because I think it kind of tidies things up a little bit. So I go in from the back and kind of twist that, and that's actually going to be the first stitch that I add my new yarn to. Okay, so I'm just going to start knitting. I didn't tie that on. I've just got a goodly tail here because I want to use that tail. In fact, I'm going to make my tail a little longer. I want to use this tail to sew up any gaps or holes I might have later. So I've probably got a good 8 inches there that I can use to sew up things later. The underarms on my sweaters tend to be a little messy, so that's why I pick up extra stitches. And again, you certainly don't have to do this. I will decrease these away really quickly. So I'm just going along and picking up underneath those 2 legs at the top, knitting right into that at the top of the stitch column. So you can see here's a stitch column right here. So I'm going to go in underneath the top 2 strands, those legs of my bind off. And I'm going to go halfway across. That's probably halfway right there because that's 4 stitches according to my pattern size. And I'm going to put a marker right here. This is my new beginning of round. Then I'll pick up a few more until I get to the corner, and I might pick up some strands and twist them to make a new stitch that I will decrease back away. So you pick up however many you feel is appropriate to make things tidy, close that hole. We can always decrease them away later, which is what I'm going to do because I will have more stitches now than the pattern asks for. But that's okay. Okay, then now I've gone across to the other side. I've picked up a couple extra stitches, and then I'm just going to start knitting in the round. Again, I'm going to do one plain round, and then I'm going to investigate what I need to do for my size. All right, the next round will be a decrease round. And so when we do a decrease round, we just knit 1, and then we knit 2 together. So our decreases are going to be leaning toward the inside and the bottom of the underarm. And knit all the way around until you're 3 stitches from the end of that round. The other thing I want to point out is I am doing 2 rows of this light color to finish up my 6-row repeat. However, I don't have a full 6 rows at the underarm junction. And that's okay. Nobody's going to see that under my arm. So I'm just going to finish my 1 more round of light color, and then I'll switch to my darker color. So you'll notice when I picked up and I knitted on the other sleeve, I had my 6-row repeat here, which was fine. I did not have 6 rows right here at the underarm, but I do, where it matters, where you can see. So don't be too concerned about that. If you don't have 6 rows perfectly at the underarm, it's fine. Just make sure that you do keep your color striping sequence going at the top, at the sides of your sleeves. Then you're going to notice the chart on page 7 for your size, and you're going to, after you've knitted this first decrease round, you're going to decrease again every so often. So be mindful of that. Now I might have to fudge mine a little bit because I have more stitches than the pattern directs me to, since I picked up some extra ones underneath there, but it will all work out. So read through that and make sure that if you want to change the length of your sleeves, notice the note at the bottom of page 6 where you're going to add more or less straight length after you're finished with your decreases in order to make the sleeves longer if necessary. Here I am all the way around to the end of my round, to my decrease round. So I'm 3 stitches before the end, and now I'm going to slip, slip, and knit those 2 together. So I have a left leaning decrease that goes into the center under the arm. Okay, now I'm just going to keep knitting around and around, and for me, I'm going to change colors right here because that was my 6th row. And then I'm just going to keep going. For me, I am knitting size small, the second small, so I'm going to decrease every 12th round. And let me show you how I prefer to keep track of that. So on my knit companion, I have these nifty counters over here. So you could certainly do this on paper. I'm just gonna reset that one, and I'm gonna reset this one. And I like to keep track of the sets up here. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows, and then I would do 1 decrease. See what I mean? And then I would reset this one, and I would count up doing it again, and I do 2 decreases. So that way I know how many times I've completed that set, if you will. I hope that makes sense. You could certainly do that on a Post-it note with tally marks in 2 lines. All right, this is going to be easy for me also because I'm starting my new color on my first plain knit round. I just finished the decreasing with the lighter colored yarn. So I also know that my first row of the set of 12 is this darker color. So that's not the case in my other sweater. I can't really keep track of my rows using my stripes because it varies a lot with the other ones I'm doing, but you certainly could if it works out for you that way. Okay, so carry on knitting your sleeve, following the instructions carefully there. She's written them very well, so it should be pretty self-explanatory. Just keep knitting your sleeves and do your ribbing at the bottom. I look forward to seeing what everybody's projects looks like after this week. Okay, I hope you found that video helpful. Be sure to follow that chart. And if you pick up a few more sleeves, if you pick up a few more stitches than called for, it's all right. Just decrease them away and carry on. And you're going to adjust the length of the sleeve after you get through the decreases and you're just knitting round and round. Now for me, I had several extra stitches, and so I didn't really have a lot of straight knitting at the end. I mean, I had some, obviously, for my daughters, but because she has long arms, we increased the number of stripes. So then you're just going to do your ribbing and do your regular bind off, and there you go. Okay. Be sure to holler if you have any questions. I would love to see your work in progress photos in the Facebook and or the Ravelry groups. Be sure to go check out the giveaway thread for finished objects. I have a good giveaway going for people that finish their projects and post in the Ravelry group. All right, I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching and subscribing.